he seemed pretty pumped for the tournament, and I guess one of the things that he had kind of said was just that he felt like it was a good weekend for him, a good weekend for this deck.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I mean, obviously, it looks like we're underway. Turn 1 Inkmoth Nexus. We've seen Jason with that several times, and that usually bodes very well for him. Yeah,
and remember, Stepan Sukic from Croatia said that this was the best creature in the deck. And I apologize, Mr. Sukic, if I'm saying your name wrong. It's hard to pronounce some of those Croatian names.
I think the trivia question is going to be the Croatian players that you've been naming all weekend. I think that's what we're going to do. We have like one person answer it right. So a Seachrome Coast into a Ponder for Preston Stone.
The trivia question will probably be the phonetic pronunciation of these names, and then the way I have been saying them.
There you go. So we see Runechanter's Pike, Augur of Bolus. I'm whispering because I don't want to carry. Augur of Bolus, Runechanter's Pike, and Vapor Snag on the top for Preston.
Now, Preston Stone's deck, remember both of these players have access to each other's deck list before the match begins. Preston Stone's deck has Restoration Angel and Geist, as well as Runechanter's Pike, which leads me to believe it's going to have a little bit more land, and oh my gosh, it's got 19.
A little bit more than one of the other decks I think we saw yesterday with 18 lands. I believe we may have seen a couple of decks with 18 lands, but...
Turn 2 Ichor Mirror.
Glacial Fortress from Preston.
You can see the Vapor Snag from in Preston's hand. Ichor is probably going to come on in by itself. That's my guess. Now, unless Jason has a attack, he's got a Rancor in his hand, but he doesn't cast it. One of the things I've been watching happen a lot with Infect players is if they play it overly aggressively, it's very easy for them to get taken down by gut shots and Vapor Snags, when really you don't have to go about doing that. Now,
look at this. All the eggy wigs in one basket is out.
He's thinking about casting that Rancor right now, but he's like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. And guess what happens? Oh, wait. Do I want... Yeah, that's fine. I think he's going to say that's fine. He gave a little knowing look to the camera. We know that he has no way to stop that Vapor Snag. But importantly, you'll notice he did not try to cast that Rancor. He almost did, but then he was like, you know what? Don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
This is a real key for you players out there who are thinking about playing Green Infect. You have to be willing to not go for it sometimes.
Right, you just put yourself in a situation where, you know, you just get blown out by one spell like a Vapor Snag. I mean, there's a lot of cards in the deck that are set up to protect your creatures from that sort of thing, but, you know, there's the potential for a blowout anytime you're going to load your guy up with pump spells and, you know, and auras.
And look, he's got a bunch of Rancors in his hand, but he just comes in for one again.
Yeah, well, at this point, actually, I love this plan from Jason. Now
look at that mana leak, and now he might as well put it down there.
Yeah, so now he's going to go ahead and play the Rancor because his second Ichor Mirror was mana leaked. So I actually like this because it's kind of like slow and steady. He has no pressure on him from Preston. So right now, you know, he's got a clock, and you know, no pressure from Preston. He doesn't need to just go all in.
Now Preston's deck has a couple of Augur in it, and they're actually very powerful in this matchup.
So Ponder finds... I'm sorry, it wasn't Ponder, it was Augur. I mean,
Augur finds Ponder.
You also saw Restoration Angel and I believe a land, which got shipped to the bottom there.
He's keeping a Vapor Snag up, it looks like. Now I could see Preston thinking to himself, this is the moment to Vapor Snag so that Jason does not untap and have access to a Apostle's Blessing.
Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about the conflicting reports over who has the advantage in this matchup.
So he does actually go for the Vapor Snag now.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Both cards
conservative, and I think you need to be conservative against this deck.
Both cards back into Jason's hand. Draws a Wild Defiance.
That's a good card.
Yeah. So Jason has a window here to resolve that Wild Defiance, or he might rather put a threat on the table, which I agree. That's seems like I'd rather have a threat on the table.
Ichor Claw Mirror,
at this
and
point.
once again Rancor. Didn't have the gut shot before, I don't think you have it now.
Yeah, so those two were vapor snagged right back on the table. And we see, is that, oh no, I thought it was another vapor snag, but it was actually just that island. Taking a peek at Preston's hand, I can see Runechanter's Pike, Thought Scour, Ponder, I believe a Phantasmal Image.
Yeah, there's definitely an image in there. He cast that Ponder.
And sees Probe, Ponder, and
I think he's keeping that.
Glacial Fortress.
The thing about the Probe, that 2 life basically doesn't matter.
Right,
And so
it's just
like free. What
so,
you got?
Probe you.
Let me see what you got over there, guy.
And we've got Rancor.
GSZ and Wild Defiance.
Yep. If you're just joining us, I'm Joey Pasco in the booth with Adrian Sullivan, and we're covering the semifinals of the StarCityGames.com Open Series here in Denver, Colorado, between Jason Bulkowski and Preston Stone. Jason on Infect and Preston on Blue-White Delver. This is game 1, and so far a slow start kind of from both players. Not a lot of pressure from Preston. Actually, no pressure from Preston. And
the slow start does favor Preston in this matchup, though.
Yeah, I agree. However, I think Jason right now has a fairly significant threat on the table in the form of an Ichor Claw Mirror with a Rancor, and don't forget about that Inkmoth Nexus that's hanging out over there as well.
Preston attacks. Wow. Very possible he's going to image the Ichor Claw Mirror. Oh, nope, just lets it happen.
So attack from Augur of Bolas leaves him fairly open, depending on what I didn't see anything in his hand that could interact.
Well, I mean, part of Preston's problem is that Ichor Claw Mirror, when blocked with that Rancor on it, becomes a 5/3.
Yeah, he doesn't actually want to block it, or blocking it, I guess, saves him 1 poison and loses the Augur.
Now Jason has drawn a forest. It's a question mark of whether he wants to even lay it and let Preston know.
Yeah, that's what he drew, exactly. I think unless he really needs that mana for something, well,
here
he decides he does,
Here's
so
the
he plays the forest.
In.
So, oh, he does have a Vapor Snag. Wow. 3 Vapor Snags. I mean, that is, if you're going to beat Infect with Delver, 3 Vapor Snags in the first 4 turns of the game.
Is he going to Green Suns for 1 here? Green Suns for 1, you get a Glistener.
So diversifying his threat package is Jason Bulkowski. So Glistener Elf, Ichor Claw Mirror now back on the table. And again, that Inkmoth Nexus still there.
I remember 3 Rancor in hand right now. Thought Scour. I think that looked like a Moorland Haunt that he picked up.
Yeah, I think so. Did the Scour hit a Geist of St. Traft? It looks, it could be, or could have been a Cavern. Does he play Cavern? He does. Okay, just 1. I just see kind of that gold edge. It was a Geist. Okay. All right, we see his hand has that image, that Pike. And he's tilted it so we can't see it any better. Getting a little louder in here. So I think we can get a little louder.
As the room fills up with people slowly getting ready to join in on the legacy action. Lays the Moorland Haunt.
So Rancor goes to the graveyard when he bounced the mirror, yes, and then when it goes to the graveyard, it goes back to back to Jason's hand.
Because it goes to the graveyard from play, then it comes back to the hand.
Yeah, that wasn't a bounce in response to the Rancor.
No.
The Rancor had already been in play.
Yes.
Enchanting the mirror.
If the Rancor was being cast, targeting the mirror, and then the mirror got bounced, yes, the Rancor would be gone.
Right, if the Rancor was still in the stack.
But
right,
that was not the case. The Rancor was in play. And we see a Rune Chanter's Pike.
So Pike on the Augur, and that's a threatening Augur of Bolas.
And Delver, look at this. Preston Stone tapping out. Wow, that is some scary stuff. Now,
representing the gut shot for that Inkmoth Nexus, because we know there's a forest, and that activate Inkmoth Nexus, 3 Rancors on it. I mean, that's
it's not
7 poison. It's not
the
enough.
Kill, but it's
not
close.
the kill, but yeah, it's very close.
I mean, heck, I might just activate, enchant, and then swing with everybody.
So how many cards, how big is that Pike making that Augur? We know there were 3 Vapor Snags, at least a Ponder, a Thought Scour, a Mana Leak.
Big?
Yeah, pretty big. So it's like a 7/3
Rancor.
or something. So it looks like activate Inkmoth Nexus, Rancor number 1. Rancor number 2.
Rancor.
Excuse me. Rancor number 3. And
the question is it going to be just the Inkmoth, or is it going to be everybody? If it's everybody, he's tossing away one of his creatures to kill the Delver. It's just the Inkmoth.
Yeah, I mean, he would toss away both of his creatures, most likely.
Yeah. Toss away both of them to kill the Delver.
And just to kill a Delver, basically. That would be the only benefit of attacking with those. I like just the Inkmoth Nexus plan, because now that Delver has to flip, which it did not.
Right, he does have a Moorland Haunt.
At this point, yeah, okay, so the Moorland Haunt will help block that Inkmoth Nexus, but a Rancor on it gives it trample.
Well, you can give it first strike with the Pike.
Alright, well, we've got a Phantasmal Image. Copying.
Image on the Augur.
And Augur sees
a bunch of nothing. Like Gitaxian Probe, Thought Scour.
And a Geist. Well, at least he gets a card out of it, right? It's not actually a bunch of nothing. He didn't whiff on the Augur. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter.
And Jason has 4 gut shot of his own. One of those off the top could deal with a potential blocker in the form of Moorland Haunt as well. We know I believe he's drawn Forest for the last couple of turns. I don't know that he has a new card in hand. We know he's got 3 Rancor and a Wild Defiance.
Yep, that's his hand.
Is that his hand? Yeah. And let's see off the top. Oh, what was that? It was Misstep. But he cannot, so at this point he can't equip the Pike. So Moorland Haunt is live, but a Rancor on the Ichorclaw mirror, I think, wins game 1 here for Jason, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So activated Inkmoth Nexus. I said Ichorclaw mirror, I meant Inkmoth Nexus.
I think he's going to go Rancor on each of the 3 creatures.
Yeah, I mean, that works too. He's definitely diversifying here. Oh no, he should have put it on the Nexus, but I guess he's still probably fine here. I think just the Nexus with the Rancor wins, because I don't believe Preston has an answer. He has just a Moorland Haunt token that just gets trampled over. So.
Ooh, we did not know the Snapcaster was there.
Yeah, I did not see the Snapcaster.
This actually is really huge.
So Snapcaster comes down, finds Vapor Snag.
Oh wow, it has to hit the Nexus though. And that means he dies. Yeah, the Snapcaster on Vapor Snag, he has to hit the Nexus or he dies. And because he can't do that, then he's got a 3/1 Trampler. He has to block the Ichorclaw. And the Ichor then becomes a 3/3 plus 4, so it's a 7/3 trampler. 3/1 and 7/3. The 7/3 gets first struck, but the 3/1, even with all those things there, it's going to be enough.
It's just so overwhelming. I mean, triple rancor certainly helps when you're able to, especially just the way he was able to just use them, and it was just like this pump spell that he kept having access to. So, Game 1 goes to Jason Bulkowski versus Preston Stone here in the semifinals of the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Denver, Colorado. And
it's worth noting before we go on to our trivia question that if Jason had played that really aggressively, Jason would have easily been defeated by Preston Stone's triple early Vapor Snags.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was saying I didn't see the Snapcaster either, so I didn't think he had an answer to the Inkmoth Nexus, and so I was thinking, you know, just put a Rancor on the Nexus, that's enough right there. But yeah, that's because I haven't been playing the Infect deck. I like Jason's play much better.
You have a trivia question for us.
I do. So we're going to give away 6 months of free premium access on the StarCityGames.com, and we're going to ask you guys a question. You guys tweet your answer with the hashtag SCG Premium, which is right there in the middle.
Right there in the middle.
Down there. And one correct answer will win 6 months of free premium.
Yeah. As long as you are one of the people that answers correctly with that hashtag, you will be selected at random. One of you will get 6 free months. What's the question?
So the question, we have Jason Bulkowski here with Infect, and he's trying to make it into the finals here versus Preston Stone. So what city was the open series in the last time Infect made the finals?
Wow, so he's trying to repeat that feat.
Yes, he is.
If not exceed it.
That's right, he is trying to make the finals, and last time Infect did not win, but it did make the finals.
Yeah, so what city?
What city was the open series in the last time Infect made the finals?
Make sure you tweet your answers, hashtag SCG Premium.
Yep.
And we're going to go now to the sideboard of this Infect match. Okay, I always like Spellskite when it comes to fighting against cards like Vapor Snag and Gutshot. You know they're in an opposing deck? Well, bring in Spellskite. Spellskite answers a lot of the problems you have.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic there against a deck with a lot of removal, and Delver has tons. I mean, we saw 4 Vapor Snags cast in that game, 3 of which were natural Vapor Snags, 1 of which was off a Snapcaster, but and that's not counting any Gutshots, which we know Preston packs 4 in the main.
Yeah. I would not mind if I were Jason to bring in 1 Viridian Corruptor as a green Sun Zenith target to kill Runechanter's Pike.
Right, yeah, that Pike can really get out of hand, and it's actually the first strike almost seems like the more relevant part in this match.
Yeah, the first strike is way more important than the actual power.
Yeah, I mean, in this match, just as we saw there, we saw opportunities for him to attack with the Ichor Mirror, but the Augur of Bolas was holding that Pike. So the first strike scared off the Ichor Mirror in that particular situation.
Yeah, on the other side of the table, I really think that Delver ends up needing to become more of a control deck. And so as a result, I think what we're going to see is Phantasmal Image, Mental Misstep, Negate, and Divine Offering all coming in. And what I think is going to go out of there is, I think Mana Leak has to go. I don't think you have any time for a card like Mana Leak. And I'm actually not so excited about Geist of St. Traft in the matchup because it comes to the party so late in the game when it comes to what can happen.
Yeah, I was looking at Talrand. He's got 2 copies in the board, and it seems so slow, but at the same time, if it hits, it's got the opportunity to provide Preston with just a ton of blockers.
Yes.
And, flying blockers, which is very significant, as we saw right there.
A part of the problem is, you notice at the end of the game, Preston only had 2 cards in his hand. By the time you get to that point, you can just be tapped out, because the Infect deck can threaten to kill you at such an early stage in the game that if you are, hanging back your free spells or anything like that, you're just gonna, get run over.
So it sounds like
Michael
Lee with I believe he's playing the green-white aggro.
Yeah, green-white. He is in the finals. Michael Lee. It's going to be green-white aggro versus somebody.
Yeah, so it's going to be green-white aggro versus Delver again if Preston takes this match, or green-white aggro versus Infect. So it sounds like Michael Lee took a game, and then game 2, his opponent just got stuck on land and couldn't get into the game. So a quick match on the other side of the bracket. These guys shuffling up here for game 2. And players are trickling into the room to sign up for the Legacy Open coming up in just a little while. We'll be bringing you guys coverage of that starting with round 3.
Yep, I'm hoping that they will let me, give you guys coverage from the floor. See if I can get a camera, a remote camera, follow me around in my Legacy adventure today. Let Joey do the booth by himself. But I don't know. I'm not sure if my director will let that happen.
We just get like a helmet cam.
Yeah, helmet cam.
Put a helmet on you with a little camera.
Something like that, or just have we could have a second unit just follow behind me with a camera.
Yeah. Field reporting.
Exactly. I mean, watch me, as I play some deck that's not ready for prime time in the Legacy Open.
Oh, so you actually want to play in the Open? You weren't just going and interviewing players in the field. You were just it was just follow you around. Okay, I see. Mm-hmm. Got it. What deck would you be playing?
One of the ones I brought.
Well, what deck would you be playing if you had access to
I would be playing,
all the cards?
well, with all of the cards? So
I just mean,
I don't even know how to think of it. Actually, I'd probably be playing Green-White Prison.
Yeah? Okay. That's interesting. That's one I'd like to see on camera. Not something you see very often.
There's something awesome about Tabernacle.
Well,
and we see the opening very similar to before. Inkmoth on play, turn 1.
Preston leads with an island and a Thought Scour at the end of Jason's turn. Thought Scour hits, was it Probe and Vapor Snag? Ooh, double gut shot, mental misstep. Preston with 0 pressure, but all kinds of interaction.
Cavern, Delver, Glacial Fortress.
Well, there's that pressure he was hoping to find. It's not a great ponder. It's, 2 lands. I believe he only has those 2 though, so might be fine. Grabs the Delver, casts the Delver. Turn 2 for Jason Bulkowski.
See that gut shot.
Gut shots the Delver. Now Preston has an opportunity to mental misstep this, but he does not.
I like that.
Decides to save his misstep for something more important.
Yeah, he is not the beatdown here.
And now we have a gut shot from Jason.
Gut shot, misstep.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is...
Boom.
Okay, so...
Way better.
Swings in with his Inkmoth Nexus. Inkmoth gets targeted with gut shot. Jason tries to misstep it. Preston has that misstep, as we mentioned, and he uses it to misstep Jason's misstep.
And you see the wisdom there of Preston. Holding back, not protecting the Delver, because that's not the important part of the fight.
So Inkmoth Nexus is successfully gut shot, but Jason did play a second Inkmoth Nexus as his second land drop there, so there is still the threat of a Nexus on the table.
Spellskite.
Spellskite from Jason to follow up Preston's Rune Chanter's Pike, which was just played Preston's last turn. So on the table, a Rune Chanter's Pike for Preston Stone and a Spellskite for Jason Bulkowski.
Ooh, a 4th land to go with his 4-mana Restoration Angel.
Does he have a Restoration Angel?
Yeah.
I didn't quite see it. I must not have seen that. I thought we saw his hand and there was no pressure in it.
Another Inkmoth.
Jason with all the Nexuses. Taps 1 to activate the other and swings in.
This could go really badly for him.
Yeah, Spellskite doesn't protect it from being blocked. There's a Restoration Angel.
I'll pay 2 life.
Yeah,
Bless
he's
this
gonna
guy.
go ahead and give his Inkmoth Nexus Pro White with Apostle's Blessing. and gets in for 1 poison. So Preston Stone just a little bit poisoned. 1/10.
1/10. That's funny.
Was it did he get in, or did he was it after declare blockers? I assumed it was a pro white in response to the angel.
I don't see a token on the angel, so I imagine it's 1 poison.
Okay, there's no poison on the screen, is what.
Yeah, 2 poison, 2 poison. There we go.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So, did he hit? He hit him with that Nexus earlier. I forgot about that. Well, Angel with a pike coming in for Preston Stone.
Fast clock.
It's kind of a scary angel. I'd be scared of that angel coming around trying to hit me with a pike. I think I'd be scared of the angel without the pike. Chris Pikula with Atlantis as his attempt to answer that. I'm not going to say whether that's correct or incorrect, but I just wanted to point it out.
Right. Glistener Elf joins the table for Jason Bulkowski. For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan, joined in the booth here by Joey Pasco. We are at Denver, Colorado. I should say in Denver, Colorado here for SCG Live. This is the Star City Games Open Series.
And
you see a blocker come out.
So, Angel trying to get in. Nexus declared as a blocker and then immediately blessed
white.
Yet again. Pro white. Jason being...
Oh, he's got a Spellskite. Oh, Spellskite, what are you doing?
Yeah, not what I expected there. The Spellskite does have a...
You've got an ability. Costs 2 life, but it's a good one.
Yeah, so he, I think, accidentally let the Spellskite... or just let the Nexus die there. Maybe forgot about the Spellskite. Maybe it's all part of his grand master plan here.
Yeah, he's just trying to lull Preston into a false sense of security.
Might be.
He recognized that this game wasn't going very well, and he was like, I'm just going to try to make this guy think thoughts that will make me win in the 3rd game.
Yeah, there you go. Jason Bulkowski at a precarious 3 life.
And he's like, yeah, the Spellskite.
So
I see my spell.
So was I correct then? That was the first poison now? Okay, so a little bit of miscommunication.
Packs it up, packs it in.
Yeah.
So let's begin talking about the sideboarding for the 3rd game here.
Yeah, I mean, how much different do you think
the only real difference for these players is that Preston Stone could consider changing up his sideboarding based on going 2nd. I don't know whether or not Preston kept in mana leaks going 1st, but going 2nd, I do not think that he should have mana leaks at all. I don't like them in the matchup to begin with, but going 2nd, those mana leaks are going to come so late to the party so often.
Yeah, I can agree with that. How big of a deal do you think it is to actually be on the play for the Infect deck?
Well, it's in Constructed, I think being on the play is a really huge deal. I know that Zach Hill, who is a soon-to-be departing member of Wizards R&D, he mentioned that they had done some statistical analysis on on play on Magic Online, and found that play or draw, it was very close to 50-50, period, like straight up, in who won the match. So there would be a claim there that there is no difference just in general. However, I am willing to bet that statistic was not accounting for limited versus constructed. Ever since Worlds last year, I've been doing some incredibly meticulous record keeping when it came to playtesting on Magic Online. And one of the things I was seeing was that for every single deck and every single matchup, going first was a minimum bump of 10% for that game.
Wow.
So some decks are even more wild that way. I think that Jason Bulkowski's Infect deck is one that has even more swing on going first.
Yeah, and that's how I was seeing it as well. I feel like, you know, if you break it down without looking at the deck archetypes, I think I can see, you know, a more of a 50-50 kind of thing, but I think certain decks are just set up to really take advantage of going first. And
yeah, Infect is one of them.
In fact, I mean, super aggressive. Every turn matters. So if you get 3 turns and your opponent only gets 2, that's, you know, that's all you need. Like that one extra turn. It's also part of, like, think about it as the percentage of the game, right? When Jason goes first, his turn is 100% of the game until he passes the turn to Preston. Right now it's 50-50. Now Jason's second turn is you know, 66% of the game on Jason's side and 33% on Preston's side. So it's interesting to think how big, you know, as the game goes on, every turn is a smaller and smaller percentage. But Infect is a deck that is meant to capitalize on those first few turns. The games don't last more than a few turns, and so going first is actually a large percentage of the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And by way of example, I just pulled up one of my spreadsheets for one of the decks that I've been playing lately. And game 1 on the play, it goes 77% game wins, and game 1 on the draw, 53% game wins.
So speaking of percentages, Jason with the 100% of the games with the Inkmoth Nexus on turn 1. Very impressive.
It's almost like it's a turn 1 Goblin Guide every turn game.
Yeah, so Preston Stone with turn 1 Delver, not too shabby.
You're going to see a Spellskite. Now, maybe he'll wrap this Spellskite really hard with his fist to remember that it's there.
Put it on top of his library or something. There's a Gut Shot.
This time he protects the Delver.
And
this is a much different situation. I actually think that Jason Bulkowski might have messed up here. I think perhaps he should have cast Gut Shot first before the Spellskite was on the table. Because now, Preston Stone, he knows that his cards that are his removal are not going to work on anything.
Yeah.
Because there's that Spellskite there, so he might as well protect the Delver. You notice in the second game, Preston wisely did not protect the Delver. I think showing the Spellskite first was a mistake.
It's a good point. I like the logic. So Delver has flipped, and Ponder resolving here. Preston draws, looks like a Probe, I believe, off that Ponder, and we're going to see it. So we're going to see what Jason has in store for this particular game. Apostle's Blessing, Green Sun Zenith, Spellskite number 2, and Viridian Corruptor. So a little bit of pike protection, a lot of creature protection as far as, you know, his threats. No actual threats, but a Green Sun Zenith to potentially find one, and a Blessing to protect one as well. So a lot of ways right there for Jason to protect his Nexus or whatever he might search for with that Green Sun Zenith.
Part of the problem that Jason has at this moment, he's on a very quick clock, actually.
Yeah, and he has actually very little pressure of his own. I mean, he has no pump spells available.
His mistake in the last game, I don't know that it influenced very much. I think he was going to lose that game anyway. Another Delver.
Preston with the Insectile Aberration and another Delver on board. Jason with just a Spellskite, a Forest, and an Inkmoth Nexus on his side.
Think he's going to Green Suns for 1?
No, he's going to cast a Glistener Elf off the top.
And leaving himself with 1 mana for Apostle's Blessing? I don't even like that. I think that you should cast the Green Suns for 1 and then potentially be able to double threat in a future turn.
That there is a Ghost Quarter from Preston Stone.
Wow, that's actually not an ability that Spellskite can protect an Inkmoth from.
Yeah.
One of 2 Ghost Quarters from Preston.
Both main. And Insectile Aberration in for 3 more. And other Delver, a little stubborn, didn't flip. But Ponder is going to attempt to set that up for next turn. He does have a Gut Shot available in the top 3 that will flip that Delver. that second Delver.
Yeah, he's trying to decide if he wants to keep it, though. It's a pretty weak couple of cards.
Yeah, it is. It's
Is it
a
worth
third
making-
Delver and an island.
Is it worth making the... I mean, he can actually draw the Delver, play the Delver, and then have 3 flipped Delvers. So that's not as weak as I was initially thinking. I didn't see that that was a Delver, but
Apparently
he's like,
he's
let's
not
get rid
keeping
of
it
it.
either. Yeah.
It doesn't give him anything to fight against. Let's say that that Jason does something aggressive and impressive. That puts Preston in a position where it's a pure race, where he's already got that race-like situation underway.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think it would have been pretty impressive for him to draw, play Delver, and then flip it next turn. He's at 0 poison right now, and I don't know. I think I may have gone for it. Just maybe that was wrong. But
Augur with
Augur of Bolus hits the board, but does not find a single spell in the top 3. 3 lands pushed to the bottom, but that might be a good thing too. I mean, just the fact that he whiffed kind of stinks, but pushing 3 lands to the bottom in a situation where Preston doesn't really want any more lands that badly. I think he would rather have spells. I don't think that was such a bad thing. So Ichor Claw Mirror from Jason Bulkowski here. And that resolves, no attacks.
oh boy, Delver flips.
Delver flips off of a Vapor Snag.
I think that this game looks pretty wrapped up for Preston Stone.
Yeah,
Jason is just clogged on mana. Maybe he should run 2 less like Preston. He draws more then.
Apparently.
For you old timers, that's the old Thawing Glacier rule. First thing that happens when you thaw a land out of your deck is you draw a land.
Thaw and draw.
It doesn't make any mathematical sense, it's just how it seems to work out.
Augur of Bolus number 2 for Preston, and
He's deciding between Vapor Snag here and Ghost Quarter. Meanwhile, a cloud comes over the sky.
yeah, looming shadow over the table.
He goes with the Vapor Snag being open.
And sees Island,
Ponder
Ponder
is what he
Delver, so he
gets.
gets a Ponder off of that Augur. Passes the turn. Jason Bulkowski has a
That's
very
it.
short window. Yeah, it's not enough. And Preston Stone with blue-white Delver goes to the finals to face green-white aggro, piloted by was it Andrew Lee or Michael Lee? I'm sorry.
It's going to be Michael Lee versus Preston Stone.